Hey, what's up, family? What's up? Welcome to another Relationship Thursday. We're going to give y'all a second to jump on in here. When y'all jump in, let us know where y'all tuning in from. We're waiting for YouTube. We're waiting for Facebook to come on board here. We got something good in store for y'all. This right here is my lovely wife, Iana.
This right here is my amazing husband, Ayize.
You don't sound too enthusiastic about that.
You just irritated me.
I did?
You know you did.
I irritated you, babe?
I irritated you, babe? What did
I just made a simple comment.
Whatever.
But I love you, though.
Carry on.
Man, who am I?
Oh, this is my amazing husband, Ayize.
Okay.
What's going on, peoples? So tonight, what are we talking about? We're not going to hold you long. And I really mean that. I say that every single time we come on, and every single time I rap too long, too much.
You really did.
and just go on and on and on. We're not doing that tonight because we starting late as I don't know, but what time is it? It's almost 10 o'clock in the evening. But we really wanted to holler at y'all, and we're trying to do what we do and give you some good information and get more from you all, because y'all always drop some really good stuff. I see Nicole coming into the room, and Tiffany and Sharice and Shanita representing Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going to play nice. Yes. And the Tailor-Made Man. Hey, Tailor-Made Man. Fine 29, our sis. Fine 29 is always in the house. And over on YouTube, Nikhil. What's going on? Representing Chicago. And Rita. What's going on? So, guys, let's turn that off. Your song selections lately.
Hold on. First you told me to play it, and then you're going to question what I'm playing.
But yeah, I could do that. Your song selections have not been that great. I'm just saying.
I'm trying to make sure the video gets.
They're like distracting. They don't compliment. They're just like, turn it off.
You gotta expand your taste. That's what it is.
I gotta expand my taste. I see Janet Jones, and Tina Woods Humphrey, and Bruce. What's going on, Bruce? We see you. Nicole, welcome. So if you have not seen the title for tonight's live stream, we're talking about a very, 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 very important topic. And it's really real simple, but men oftentimes make it complicated.
We make it complicated?
Yes.
Or y'all make it difficult for us to do?
No, we're gonna break this one down. Y'all make it difficult
for us to do.
Men make it complicated. And so what we're talking about tonight is the importance of husbands learning to listen to their wives. Ooh, yeah. We're talking about how important it is for men to learn to accept influence, particularly if you want to be influential. If you want to be influential in your relationship, then you have to learn how to accept influence in the first place. And while most of y'all listening, you know, for those of y'all who are vibing with us tonight and who follow us, y'all like, yeah, I get that, you know, because y'all usually are pretty up to speed. That makes sense. If I want to be influential, then I have to accept influence. You know, it's kind of like we hear, you know, if you want to be a leader, you have to learn how to follow, right? You want to make moves and step forward, you got to learn how to fall back. Those things make sense to us. But I have to say that a lot of times, particularly in our relationships, while we might know that thing, we don't really get down like that. And we find ourselves challenged in that way, particularly men. That's what we're talking about tonight. We find ourselves challenged, and we don't always recognize that. Sometimes it's out of our awareness. It's in a blind spot back here. And we're not aware. Can you turn that off?
I'm sorry, I didn't know you could still hear it.
Yes, I can still hear it. So that's what we're talking about tonight. So I want to hear from y'all, because I know some of y'all like, hold up, wait a minute, what's up? Like, are you trying to say women don't need to learn how to accept influence? That women don't have a whole lot to say a lot of times, and you know that we don't have some things to work on. Of course we do. But what I also want you to know is that the research shows that women, by and large, doesn't mean that we as women don't have our areas to work on when it comes to, you know, accepting influence and, you know, listening to our husbands. But the research shows that women tend to do a better job at this. The women are doing it already. Some of y'all surprised. Some of y'all like, what research study was that? I don't believe it. But it really does show that. I'm not making that up. And so what is that about? It comes, in my opinion, from a lot of different places. You know, if we look at the culture of relationships, and particularly the culture of committed relationships, for the most part in this country, in the United States of America, when people look to where they're supposed to get their model for being in a relationship, whether they're looking directly here or whether it's just kind of like coming at them from the side, most people are looking to traditional kinds of definitions of what it means to be in relationship. A lot of folks, you know, look to spiritual institutions, look to the church. You know, God brought marriage into existence for a reason. And so even if you're not uber religious, right? Like, think about that. You know, when we think about where do people go when they first find somebody and they think, I might want to be with this person. They may go get some counseling, but usually, and they may get some counseling, meaning some premarital counseling. But oftentimes when they have a marriage, a union ceremony or whatever, right? There's a spiritual aspect to it. And so no matter what tradition you look at, a lot of times there are, I'm just going to keep it 100. This is just my perspective. Y'all go ahead and drop your perspective. But a lot of times there is this expectation and there are oppressive kinds of structures in place, particularly in religious institutions. Now I'm saying religious. I'm not saying spiritual, because there's a difference between religion and spirituality. But in religious traditions, it says women must what? What they say? Women must obey their husbands, right? And submit, right? All of that type of stuff, right? So when we look at the fact that women do this already, even if you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not that type of woman. Like, you know, me and my husband, we are co-partners. He know better than that, right? The culture of the United States of America, the culture of how relationships and committed relationships flow and get down is one that, you know, where women are looking to make sure that we are, you know, supportive of our men. And when you bring in the cultural aspect in terms of African-American couples, and we know the world is against the black man and the black man is struggling and he's already got the man's foot on his back and on his neck, then all we trying to do is make sure that we submit to you. That's not necessarily what everybody's trying to do. I'm just trying to bring y'all some context as to why it is that oftentimes, even in our unconscious awareness, women are already doing it. I just wanted to state that so we can get into the topic for tonight as to why y'all men and your man who's not here listening needs to learn how to accept influence so that you can actually be influential.
So before we jump into this topic, y'all, again, my name is Ayize. This right here is my wife.
I did all that, like, and our names are.
Yeah. And so we're licensed therapists, but this ain't therapy, y'all. We did drop a link somewhere if you're trying to hook up with us or trying to get some, you know, therapeutic services from us. So
I'm gonna need you to. What's up with your energy? I already talked to you about this before.
Yeah, you did. She actually told me, and I wasn't trying to accept your influence. But she told me to get a little bit more energy.
I said we don't have to come on tonight. That's number one.
We got to. So
I said, but if we gonna come on, you gonna be all blah like this. Let's not do it.
It's an important topic.
We're just getting all our personal stuff all out on.
So you know, I feel like we definitely need to discuss this. So as it pertains to accepting the influence, so everything my wife just mentioned is absolutely true. What? Please
share this video wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, whether you Greg representing Arkansas. We see you, Greg.
Please share the video.
You know, or Nikhil in Chicago. Wherever you find yourself, please share the video. Thank you for the likes and the love.
The likes, the hearts, and all that good type of stuff.
Some of y'all are agreeing. People are saying it's obvious that God knew what he was doing when he decided men needed a helpmate.
All right, so you know what we're all about and what we represent is really accountability.
Red wine.
We're all about accountability. We're all about you taking ownership of your own stuff. And so what I want y'all to do is, both men and women, if y'all can drop some hearts, if you've had challenges in your relationship accepting the influence of your spouse or your partner, drop some hearts, drop some likes. If you've had challenges,
just a few, if it's just a little bit of challenge.
If you've had some challenges accepting the influence of your spouse or your partner, I want to see some likes because I want to make sure that we're not just talking from our own personal experience. I want to make sure that we're actually speaking to people who can relate to this topic. I'm seeing some hearts.
Raise your hand if you're in this house.
I'm seeing some likes. I'm seeing a bunch of hearts.
Raise your hand
on YouTube. I'm seeing some hearts. I'm seeing some. I'm not raising my hand right now because I don't want to.
So
I'm being resistant.
He's having a hard time accepting influence.
I'm gonna raise my hand. I'm gonna raise both hands.
Yes, you do. Raise both your hands, put your feet up in the air, spread your toes out, do all of that.
All right, so now that we've gotten that established, we got that established.
Can I just say something real quick?
What you want to say, man?
I've said this before, but people think, well, let me just say this. I don't know that people think this, but I think that people think that because I am a boisterous personality a lot of times and compared to my husband, and I got a lot to say and whatever, people probably think, and this is what people think about people who talk a lot or have, a lot to say. Are
we doing a Leo Pisces thing again?
Right. I'm a Leo. He's a Pisces. Rock with us. That probably I'm just like I am overwhelming him, and I need to pipe down, and that I need to learn how to accept influence. And while that was the case back in the day, because I am a Leo, that is what's up. That is not the case. I just want to state that is not the case today. This brother is real cool and calm. I notice how cool and calm he is. When he talks, he takes his time. He's real collected. And, you have a hard time accepting influence. And I've done a very good job of it. And I am not just sizing myself just to size myself. I'm sizing myself because I know that that's the case. And I'm sure you're going to give me a run for my money tonight and be like, well, babe, you're not as great as you think you are. But I will say, I just want to put that out there because I think sometimes people look at personalities and make assumptions. And I just want to represent for all the folks out here tonight who like, you know what, I be falling all the way back. And sometimes my partner, my spouse, I can't get nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be just like this. You see how he's all thoughtful? Look at him. Thoughtful and resistant.
Resistant?
Thoughtful and not accepting of influence.
Why can't I be resistant?
So I'm using that as an example. Well, that's the question of the hour. And that's what we need you to help us to understand, because not only are we going to discuss and talk about how important it is for men to accept influence so that they can be influential, we want to understand as women, help me out, sisters. We want to understand, like, what is it that we need to do to help you? Not that we're responsible for you accepting influence, but what is it that we need to do or that we can do that will make it easier for you to accept influence? Not that we about to carry this thing on our own because you need to do your own damn work, but there are some things I'm sure that we can do, to help the process. So
this is going to be an interesting one.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. I'm just saying, Raquel says, I feel like men have a problem with accepting influence from their spouse. They seem to be more influenced outside the relationship. Well. So somebody asked here, Shah Kra said, where's the link? So make sure the link is there. We'll check that out for you. So Bruce said, my brother processes before he responds. He doesn't react. Bruce, you are absolutely right. You are absolutely right. That's why I love this man. He is a processor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Carry on, my brother.
All right, y'all. So again, please share this video. So when we speak about this whole process of making sure that you honor your wife and that you accept the influence of your wife, it's extremely critical that you put yourself, just imagine yourself being in your relationship. So you're in your relationship and it's a one-sided relationship. Your spouse is the only one, or your wife is the only one who's actually receiving, accepting influence, who's open to getting some type of feedback, some type of critique, some type of word, and it's a one-sided and lopsided relationship. And so essentially, sometimes you may find yourself in a space where you're walking around with the air about yourself, as if your stuff don't stink. You're walking around as though you can do no wrong. And what that does is it puts your partner in a position where they feel like they have to cater to you over and over and over again. And then they also start to begin to resent you as a result of their needs not being met. And so again, if you have no space or room in your relationship where you're finding the time to validate your partner, then a wall of resentment can possibly pop up because their needs aren't being met. And so it's extremely important that when it comes to you in your relationship, honoring your spouse and honoring your wife and making sure that you're accepting the influence of her, understand that accepting the influence of your partner doesn't mean that they're necessarily trying to control you. That's number one, y'all. Understand that accepting influence does not mean that you're necessarily subjecting yourself to being controlled.
And so is that something that men feel like is happening? Like somebody's controlling you or telling you what to do?
A lot of men do, but it's not a man thing. A lot of men do, but because we're speaking about husbands this evening.
Yeah, how about we just keep it focused there?
Yes, yeah. I will. I will.
Do
so
you
a lot
feel
of husbands.
that way sometimes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the husbands that we work with, that I've worked with individually, have spoken about the fact that they do feel like there's an element of control that's present when they're, expected to accept the influence of their wife.
What's up with that?
And so as a result, again, and a lot of that can stem from your historical experience and you being resistant to the process of not just your spouse, but anybody that you may feel is lording over top of you. And so you resist that altogether. But when it comes to your spouse, again, you mentioned earlier that we exist in a patriarchal society. And so the expectation and the way it's been established is that men are supposed to run the relationship to some degree. They're supposed to run the household. And so if that's the expectation, for me to fall back and for me to yield means that I got to accept your influence. But to me, I'm interpreting that as control. And when I'm losing control of a situation, I'm giving up some power. And so as a man, to give up power, it puts you in a vulnerable space. And so again, when we're engaging with our partner, and even though their points may be valid, even though the things that they lift up may be something that we need to tend to, again, to give up power in a relationship means that we have to step into a space of vulnerability, which is very uncomfortable. We have to trust that what you say is going to work out. And we don't always believe that what you say is going to work out.
And sometimes y'all just stubborn. Sometimes
possible.
it ain't really about what you work out. Sometimes you're like, that's a really good point. That's actually, because let me tell you something. Last night, we don't have to get into all the details, but you was refusing to accept influence. And I know I broke that thing down, okay? I'm just want to let y'all know I broke it down. Do you understand me? I said exactly what I felt he should hear, and I broke it down in a way that I thought he would understand. And I know that joint made sense to you. And I think that you were just like, nah, I made my decision. It is what it is. Like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just need to support my decision. And my point, without getting into all the details, I know y'all like get into the details, was you're operating as if this is just your decision. And I'm telling you that this needs to be a joint decision. And you just want me to fall back like, nah, I've already decided. And I'm like, nah, let me give you some feedback, right? So sometimes it's just stubbornness because I know I made sense. I know it made sense. And even if I didn't make sense, at the end of the day, it requires something of us to engage in a process that we don't want to engage in. And it requires something of us to endure something that we feel we shouldn't have to endure. Why do I even have to talk about this? Right. And so you're even having to entertain me last night. You got to a point where you said, and it wasn't like we had been talking a long time. You said, I'm done with this. I'm done with this conversation, right? And we had not come to agreement on what it is that we were going to do. But at the end of the day, y'all, what I need you to know is that collaborative compromise is a non-negotiable skill that you have to have in any relationship. And so we're still working this one out. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about it early today. We're still working on this thing. And he's focused on, you should support me. I'm focused on, you want me to support you because you have decided that a decision should be solitary and it should be yours. And what I'm saying to you is that this should be a collaborative compromise. And even in the midst of us having different opinions about a situation, you coming all wrong because you discount me from the top. So you need to understand that there has to be an established framework for how you're going to deal with conflict and how you're going to deal with discomfort. And if you're not open to hearing from your partner, if you're not open to getting some influence, you're not open to listening to them, you will lose every time. Because it's not about whether you get it or not. It's about whether or not you listen so that you can understand, or at least attempt to understand where they're coming from, and then be able to meet the need. If you just stay focused on what you think, you'll be sitting there all day long.
So
collaborative compromise.
When you don't do that, you discount your spouse's value. And so again, this is a real interesting thing here, because my wife, she's mentioning, or she's lifting up the experience that we had last night. But I think that to accept influence, and I see Flips Hair Lifestyle. She says, what do you mean by accepting influence? And so really, I mean, what we're speaking about is opening yourself up to be willing to hear, to be willing to receive, to be willing to consider your partner's perspective, your partner's point of view, your partner's position, and also to roll with it. And so it's not that you'll roll with it all the time, but to give it consideration and then to possibly embrace and implement is what we mean by accepting influence. And so in speaking about that, you know, it doesn't mean that because you have your own position, your own philosophy, your own perspective, that you can't stand firm in that. And so I want people to be clear about that. You know, last night when we had our discussion, I was clear about the space that I stood in, and I'm still clear now. And so, you know, I did shut down the conversation because I didn't want to have it no more. And it's not necessarily it's not the best thing to do, but I did it, and it wasn't good. At the same time, too, I think that it's important that it be heard and received that when the decision is made, so a decision has been made. And so to open that decision back up, it requires somebody being, I want to use the word intrusive or invading on a position that's already been taken. And so to some degree, to go back in and try to explore, to try to open back up, that's also not accepting the influence. And so this is about to get interesting because I can see my wife and I can see the eyebrow raised. And so, you know, and I'm open to that. But what we're talking about tonight, y'all, is accepting the influence of your spouse. More so, husbands need to accept the influence of their wife. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, we wouldn't be where we are right now in terms of our relationship if I didn't accept the influence of my wife, and vice versa. It's because I'm willing and I'm able to do that our relationship works. But there are times when I shut it down. And there are times, I'm sure, when she shuts it down. And she makes a decision and she's not willing to accept the influence. So there will come those points in time.
No, actually, I don't really do that.
Don't really, but you do.
No.
You don't really do it. But
I mean, so I'm not going to say, I'm not going to use an absolute. Yeah. But I mean, 99 times out of 100, I don't. Because even if I'm already resolute in my mind, I got this thing so daggone down. You understand? I mean, there's certain areas that I know I got to work on hard. But there's certain areas where I know how to pat myself on the back because I got skills. And where I got skills is, I know how to play my part. So I can be in my mind like, hell no. But on the outside, I'm like, so babe, I mean, I just feel like da-da-da, and let's talk about this and da-da. You know, I know how to engage in a process of us coming to a conclusion together. I really don't just, I've made a decision. I've done this. I've gone and communicated something to the kids, or I've done whatever. Yeah, I don't do that. And so I don't want us to get stuck here tonight on our issue. But fundamentally, the issue that we had last evening and that I want people to be able to pull from what I'm saying, and I'm sure you'll be able to share what you're saying, is that for me, see, when you have an issue, what we were talking about something that related to one of our children. And he already put out there to one of the children, I've made a decision about something to one of our daughters. It is what it is. It's done. And I'm saying, wait a minute, bro, hold up. Like, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. Why do you do that? Because what we have said in terms of our marriage is that when it comes to these kinds of things, we want to come together on these things. And then we'll say, mommy and daddy going to talk about it and we'll come back to you. That didn't go down. But I don't do that because I'm always say we're going to rap about it. We'll come back to you. Him, he just it's done. Nah. So this is not even about the issue. This is not about the decision that was made. It's not about our child and what the content of that was. For me, it's about you sidestep the process that we put in place. And so if you don't have a process that you put in place in your relationship, you already out of bounds. You ain't even got no process. Y'all just deal with stuff as it comes. Somebody outside of your relationship or marriage, whether it be somebody at work or at church or in the streets or your kids or whatever, they can come and say whatever, do whatever, and y'all don't even know how you flowing. You need to be on one accord. That means that I already know what I say when it comes to my mother-in-law, friends, whomever, because we have agreement about how we deal with things and how we deal with people outside of this relationship, including our children. Whether we're in agreement or not, it's not the issue. It's about how we come at stuff. And so my issue with you on last evening is you're out of bounds because you just want me to fall back because, oops, yeah, I did disregard you. I didn't even check with you. And then when I try to diplomatically clean it up and say, baby, let me and you talk about it and we'll come back to you, you still like, nah. You know what I mean? I'm cleaning up your mess. So it's not about the content of what we're talking about all the time. It's about making sure that we respect the process. First, establish one and respect it. We've established one. And what I'm saying to you is, back in the day when I was young and dumb, I was disrespecting the process all the time because our process was feeble. That joint was shaky. We didn't really have a process all like that. And I was immature and emotional and reactive and all of that. And so I was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like I was what it was. And I'm not saying that I don't have my issues today, but what I'm saying is that I respect the process. I don't know what happened for me, but I got in alignment. And you would be far pressed to be able to say, Iana, no, you be doing something. You can point back, but generally speaking, I don't do that. And you be just as smooth and cool as a cucumber and disrespect the process all day. And they want me to fall back because I got a problem with that. Well, do they do that? Not up in here. So I'm just saying it's not about the issue. It's about our process and respecting the process. And that's all I've been saying since last night. Accept influence from your partner. If you're just joining us, we're talking about men being able to accept influence from their partners, from their wives, husbands from their wives, and men from women. And so you ain't accept no influence last night. You ain't never even say like, okay, I was out of bounds. You know what I'm saying? You ain't do none of that. You're just like, and then you want to tell me today on the phone, I just still can't believe you just like moved on and like, what are you going to do to demonstrate that I was out of bounds? Like, if you want me, what is it? If men and if husbands want to be influential, they must accept influence. If you want to influence me, then accept influence. And you don't be saying that, John, when it comes to, you break it down when we in session with folks. Let me be clear. But I'm just saying, I don't think I was out of bounds. I think you was.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Let us know what y'all think. So we want to keep on processing this thing.
Because we just been on opposite ends here. And I want to also hear from you guys in terms of different things that you all have experienced in your own relationship. Flips Hair Lifestyle says, what do you mean by influence? Like, what type of influence? Did you answer that?
Yeah. And what Nikhil is asking here, Nikhil is saying why he couldn't make a final decision. Was it the right decision? Even though he sidestepped the process.
That's a great. Oh, I like that. That's a great question. Was it the right decision, even though he sidestepped the process? What happened right there?
It'll come back.
So I do not.
So
this is where I'm trying to point everybody. I do not feel it was the right decision. He feels it's the right decision. But how many times do you find yourselves in those kinds of situations in relationships? What I'm trying to help him see is the same thing we try to help couples see. That is irrelevant. And if you want me to be able to get with you in terms of the content of what we were talking about last night and the actual issue, if you want me to go there, I'm not even there. I haven't even been able to get there because I feel disregarded. And I feel like you have not even paid attention to our process. You've taken no ownership and you just want me to fall back. So I already don't agree with what his decision was. And I don't think it was the right decision, right? But that's irrelevant because there are going to be a million and one things that you don't agree with in your relationship and that you all cannot come to a good understanding about. But you have to have, that's why you got to have a process. That's why you got to make sure, wait a minute, before you jump out there and say something to somebody, before you jump out there and make a statement and now you done got your partner mad because you done gone about the house and made comment. Now I'm mad as hell because you talking to other people or you done said something and represented me in a way that I didn't want it to be represented, right? Like now we got another issue. And so what I'm saying is that that's irrelevant. We got to have a process. We got to respect the process. Will we be 100% all the time? No, we won't. But if you can't even acknowledge, yeah, I'm out of bounds and I'm wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? You can't even acknowledge that there's a process and that you just went on and did your own thing. Then yeah, why do you think I'm gonna come over and be like, okay, you made the final decision, it's okay? No, it's not okay because we got a process. And if I'm sorry, baby, and if I was going to fall back, I would not be compelled to fall back by anybody who is resolute in what they did and how they came. I'm not going to be compelled to fall back by anybody who is defensive and continues to lift up like, I think it's the right decision and you just need to let it go. And like, that's not, because I'm not even talking about that. I ain't even talking about that no more. I'm talking about like, this supposed to be me and you. What are you doing? And you're not acknowledging that. You keep trying to skip that. And that's what we do a lot of times. We skip the real heart of what the issue is. The person is really upset. They're upset about being disregarded, and they may have a difference of opinion, but they really want to know that you understand and that you know that their voice is important too. And if you skip that because you keep focusing on, well, it was only $25 and I thought it was okay, right? Like you're talking about whatever the issue is, then you've missed the unmet need. The unmet need in me is to be validated, and the unmet need in me is to be seen. You used to tell me all the time, for those of you who followed us, he used to tell me all the time early on in our marriage, I'm disrespectful. You're so disrespectful. Did you not? He told me that all the time. I didn't think I was disrespectful, but that was unmet need in you. And if I kept going to like, wow, I'm not disrespectful and you did, like, then that would not meet anything. That would not help anything. So we don't beat this thing all over the head. You know what I'm talking about, Aiza. And you just get real, like, it gets real fuzzy and confusing to you when it's your issue.
No, I'm reading the comments, and some of y'all are expressing some of my thoughts. And so
let's read some of those. Read some of those, man.
So I'm appreciating what's being shared, and I'm also liking the questions too. What's up, Chad? One of the questions that was asked, so that a statement was made, is this gentleman, he says, it's always a bad thing when the man makes a decision before discussing the issue, especially about the children. It's always a bad thing. But then he goes on to say, my wife does it at times, but I do go along with it, but tell her where she went wrong. And so that statement right there, to me, it has a couple of things that you know, I guess I'm wrestling with. And what 757 Trucker is saying is that, you know, basically my wife, she's making an autonomous decision, even though at times when I make an autonomous decision, like it's a bad thing to do, but she does it and I go along with it. And then I have a conversation with her after I go along with it. And so the thing here that I want to lift up is that when an autonomous decision is made, even though an agreement has been made prior to, that there may be some discussion between you and your spouse, if you and your own autonomy, as long as you're not doing something that's detrimental to the children, shouldn't you have the right to say, this is what it is what it isn't, to make a decision? And should your spouse then be required to go along with it, even if they disagree? Again, you're not doing anything to hurt the children. You're not doing anything to compromise the situation. But if the spouse has an issue with it, should they go along with it? And then
you gotta put your foot down, bro.
And then express their issue with you privately. So publicly they support you, and then privately they challenge you on the issue. What are your thoughts about that? Because again, you know, yes, somebody also said over here too, you know, so what if he apologized? What if he apologized for a sidestep in the process? But even in the apology, he skipped the process. Now, what happens after that? Do you have a responsibility to go along with the decision that's been made? They said, so once he acknowledges that he skipped the process, then what?
Okay.
So I think that in the conversation or in the process, both parties have a responsibility. Both parties have a responsibility. And so if a decision has been made, should there be support for the decision? And if the decision was made unilaterally, skipping the process, shouldn't there also be an acknowledgement that the process was skipped? So what I'm saying is that I'm not acknowledging the process, or I'm having difficulty acknowledging the process when there was no support. So if there was no support for the decision, then
how if you skip the process, you don't look for the person to come and say, hey, you skipped the process and left me out and disregarded me, and I was sitting over there and you just did your thing, but I just want to say I support you in it. Bro, you come and you acknowledge that, and then somebody might be compelled to support your decision. So the question was good. So if he acknowledges that he's skip the process, that when Nikhil said, then what? You know what? You might get some more cooperation. You might not, because human beings aren't made like that. It's not, you know what I'm saying? It's not 1 + 1 = 2 like that. But to your point, Nikhil, yes, once you have done your part to acknowledge where you may have faltered, then it makes a welcoming space for your partner to then be able to be open to the fact that, all right, I'm not really feeling this, but you were able to see where I'm coming from. And so I got your back. I'm coming with you. So it's not, you want me to do all the work. You want me to get disregarded. You want me to be in disagreement. You want me to sit there and watch you just make a unilateral decision. Then you want me to come to you, tell you I don't really agree with the decision, but I support you. What the hell are you going to do? You ain't owned nothing. You ain't said nothing about how you skipped the process and continue today and yesterday to say, I just can't believe you. Like, hello? And then when I'm engaging with you and discussing with you, I'm saying, we got to come to this thing together, babe. And you say, I'm done with this conversation. So all I want people to know, you know, and Aise is clearly where he is. But what people need to understand is that both perspectives are really important, particularly when it comes to children. But what I want people to continue to understand and get here, which I'm really quite puzzled as to why it's so difficult for you to get it, other than it's because it's our relationship that we're kind of using as an example in this case. It's just not about the issue. We can pick 1,000 issues. We can pick 1,000 different types of things. You know what I'm saying? It's not that. It's what we're trying to talk about here is the discipline that is required in marriage and the discipline that's required in relationships. Because if I just go in with what I'm feeling, I'll be done smack everybody 25 times a day. Trust, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about if I agree with it, I don't agree. We're talking about the fact that there's a process in place. You did not go, first you got to establish a process for how y'all going to deal with certain things, certain people outside of the relationship, kids and so forth. You don't follow the process, nobody's going to follow it 100% of the time. Of course they're not. When you say, do you have the right to? See, even that kind of stance, I'm going to do that sometimes and I'm just going to, you know what I'm saying? Versus, I may do that sometimes based on what's happening, but it's how you deal with it. Because the moment you disregard someone in your, I have the right to, the moment you disregard somebody, now you done created a new issue because they already might not be down with what you're doing, but you don't have to have this authoritative type of, I should just be able to do. No, I'll be like, you know, I felt like I needed to do this. I want to come at you and tell you where I was coming from. You know what I'm saying? I understand that you may not be with it. And I just want to say off the top, I know we got a process. I know I ain't stick to it. I'm gonna come with it clean. You know what I'm saying? And I know how you feel about that. And I want you to know that I appreciate and I'm all there for hearing what you have to say to me right now. And I know but let me just tell you what was going on, how I was feeling. So let me connect in with what was going on with you, that you felt like you had to do something in that moment, right? But it's not from a place of, don't I have a right to do, like, you're bringing up some other stuff in me when you do that.
Yeah,
it's not about the particular issue. It's about the process, which you continue to not take ownership of.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh, Jesus.
I think that what's important here is that, and the situation matters, because the truth of the matter is this, y'all, that, you know, as it pertains to our children, and for those of you all who are just joining, please share as well. You know, as it pertains to our children, yes, we're both the parents of our 5 children. But you know, I make decisions for our children without my wife knowing. And my wife makes decisions for our children without me knowing.
Sure.
And so we're not always in a position of conversing, determining together. What was the phrase you used? Compromised.
Collaborative compromise
when it comes to our children.
Of course not. No couple is.
Yeah, no couple is. So sometimes we make autonomous decisions. We take an autonomous position when it comes to,
and when we take the autonomous decision, sometimes we're off base or we're right on point as far as we're concerned, but our partner thinks we're off base. And the moment that we recognize that, we made an autonomous kind of decision and we did not, you don't have, let me just say, you don't have the right. You don't have the right to, I can just do this. That's not your right. You know what I'm saying? It's a privilege to be able to be in a partner relationship and to raise children. You know, if you're in a committed co-parenting relationship, then yes, you're going to do that. But you have this approach in this kind of way you're talking about it, where It's like, you're going to do that sometimes. Like, I might just pull that out of my back pocket sometimes. You know, you need to not have that kind of approach. What I'm saying is that, yes, I agree with you that will happen at times. Where would it not happen?
All right. So let's slow down for a second.
Where would it not happen?
It happens at times.
Yes.
And so if it happens at times, so when you make those decisions, no, let's roll with this. When you make those decisions, I find myself in a position oftentimes, as the brother over here said, yielding to the decision that's been made, falling back, not challenging the decision that's been made.
Okay.
And if I do challenge it,
you're saying this is what you experience.
This is what I do. When I do challenge it, I challenge it privately, and I'm not going against or going back and taking away the decision that you've made. I don't do that. And so when it comes,
I just want to punctuate what you're saying with, there is a very, very small percentage of issues in our marriage and in our family where I have made a bunch of I don't make a lot of unilateral decisions. The decisions that I make that are on my own are decisions that I already know this is my area. So what I want to point out to you is that you're saying that like I just be like I don't want people to think that I don't. So what I'm saying is I don't present you with I've gone and done did it again. I done told the kids or told this person something and it's kind of outside of what you would think. I don't give you that a lot. What I'm saying is that what I find with you, my sweet husband, is that you give me that quite a bit. I'm like, hello, can you stop sidestepping the process? You're bringing up a point that you may feel like you're having to fall back, but I don't give you that issue.
So my point is that I choose to fall back out of deference for the decision that you've made. All right, so I choose to fall back. So, however,
but I'm not aware of me doing that so much. Is what I'm saying.
But you do it. You do it. You acknowledge that you do it, and I fall back out of deference. And so, what I'm saying is that I'm in deference of the decision and respect for your position in making the decision. And so, what I'm saying is that when it comes to me making a decision, especially as it pertains to our children, why can't the same deference be provided in terms of falling back and not making a decision contrary to the one that's already been made? Not to say you don't do it, but I'm just saying, like last night, this was a situation where a decision was changed.
You tapped out. I didn't do that. I said we need to come to a decision together. You said I'm done with this. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm not talking about this anymore. So you tapped out of the conversation. You sidestepped the process. You disregarded what we were supposed to do. You never validated anything about or took ownership, and then you said I'm done with it. And then you're wanting me to come. I mean, y'all need to help us out, okay? You want me to come and support and do all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like you created a scenario where you're like, just like go with it. You know what I'm saying? Just go with what I'm saying. And I'm saying to you, yo, I might could do that. That's not how you're supposed to say it. I might could do that. Okay. But let me say this. It's really difficult. And I just think this is just real. It's really difficult to do that if you are not willing to see the error in your ways. You from the moment we've been talking about this since yesterday, you're focused on do what I made a decision, do what I want to be done. Period. Mm-hmm. You're not concerned with the process. You're not concerned with my feelings. You're not paying attention to, the fact that like I went out and you're like, yeah, okay. And now you're saying I have a right to do that, but why aren't you just falling back? Like, that's not real life, y'all. That's not real life. Like, I'm going to be in my feelings. This ain't even about the child no more. This ain't about the kid. This is about me and you and our process. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you, not just last night, but on other times too, disregard it. So y'all giving us some good feedback right now. And somebody said, look, book a session. They said, Tina said she says, you seem to be a real humble man. I have to tell you, Tina, he's a very humble man. Love the realness of you too. And how Chris gonna say Housewives of Maryland, laugh out loud. So somebody said, is tonight's session an example of how to not have a discussion with my mate? Just trying to break things up. No, it's not, Tina. So I love that she said that. I'm going to repeat her question.
I like
She
when
said,
Nikhil said over here.
is tonight's session an example of how to not have a discussion with my mate? So what I want you all to understand is that if all your discussions, and we've had people, Tina and others, who've actually come to us, and I'm not saying that you're saying this, Tina, and said, like, we don't really have arguments, or we don't really get into it, or we're really pretty even. That's not real life. Anytime I have people who come to us and are kind of presenting that way, I'm like, somebody does a lot of suppressing of their feelings. Somebody doesn't really speak their truth, right? You know, like something's out of whack. This is not about trying to, we don't give coaching and counseling around like, you know, make sure your tone's like this and do. Yeah, we want to help people to really pay attention to those things, but you got to allow for a real relationship to emerge.
Mhm.
And so this kind of conversation that we're having, this is how it is.
Mhm.
This ain't how it's not supposed to be done. This is how it's supposed to be done.
Mhm.
Because it allows for me to be who I am. It allows for him to be who he is. And we're able to express how we're feeling and what we're seeing as we continue to struggle and push through while you all tonight are watching the issue, so that we can arrive at a place where we can both at least be satisfied on some level. So I just want to say that I know Tina, and I know that she already knows what's up. But for those sometimes who even may get a little uncomfortable with, like, I mean, this looks like this is a little bit like, this doesn't look like a, you know, a balanced situation. Child, please, that's fake. And we're not about fake relationships. We're about real relationships where people have real feelings, right? And allow each other to go through their process, but they do respect the process.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, yeah. And then, you know, I love somebody to say a happy medium will come. It does. Because sometimes we had it, not sometimes, a lot of times we had these conversations, y'all. And this about the second or third one. This is about the third one, right?
Mhm.
We just
Are you talking about the third one on
this
this
on
topic?
this topic.
Yeah.
And we keep working it through.
Mhm.
We keep working it through. We have a fourth one and a fifth one, and we keep working it through. And so that's what you have to do. You have to be willing to engage and go there.
Mhm.
Chris, you met us in Walmart. You had that
Oh,
T-shirt
yeah.
on
What's up,
about
Chris?
marriage. Hey, Chris, I didn't know that was you. Welcome. All right, guys. So yes, Cheryl. Hey, life is not always balanced. It
Mhm.
really isn't. So look. We're going to have some differences as we go along in marriage, and people are going to be in different places. But what you have to have is a process. You have to be able to acknowledge that there has to be a way for you all to learn to engage each other. If there are no rules, if there's no discipline involved, again, you're going to have rules and you're going to break them, right? Like, he broke the rule. It is what it is. He might not be trying to focus on that. I'm focused on it because he broke it and I did not benefit. And I feel at a disadvantage, right? From my perspective, you breaking the rule and you just want me to like overlook that and keep it moving. From his perspective, he's like, okay, yeah, I did. That happens. Can you just fall back? Right? And that's all he's focused on. Fall back. And I'm like, but you broke the rule. Right. So what we have to do and what we all have to do is to continue to try to hear the other person's perspective and get off of our positions. So let's see if we can do this with ourselves. If I was to get off my position, what might I say to you? And if you were to get off your position, what might you say to me? I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate first. And I'm going to see what you do. Okay. Let's see how this goes. We're going to demonstrate. You ain't got no wine in that. I drank some for you. Okay. So again, if you're just joining us, we were talking about husbands being able to accept the influence of their wives. My husband, during this session, I brought up one of our situations that we were dealing with last night. Decision made by one of the kids, and he just wanted to make a unilateral decision. And I was like, hey, what's up? Like, we're supposed to talk about this thing, right? And he's just kind of in his corner, like, look, I made the decision, fall back. And I'm like, dude, there's a process. Where they do that at? Like, I'm not just falling back. You ain't acknowledging this, right? Mm-hmm. So here we go. I'm going to demonstrate because I'm focused on you're disregarding me. You're not paying attention to what I'm saying. And you're focused on fall back. Mm-hmm. I don't really care about all that. Am I right? Or?
You're right, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, you're right.
All
yeah,
right.
I mean, go along with the decision that I made. Yeah. Support me.
You just want me to just be quiet.
Not to be quiet, but support me. You could even reinforce
the
decision that's been made.
Yeah, that's asking way too much. So what it might look like is this. So I'm going to get into his world. And so I use you're in a place, I think, right now where you're really feeling that you want to be supported. You just want to have what you say be supported and be lifted up, and you don't want me to question that. You don't want our child to have to kind of go back and forth between mommy and daddy and baba, and kind of figure out this thing. You want me to support you. And y'all, this is hard because I really just think he want to be in control, but I'm trying. Okay, so start over. Okay. So I'm just saying, I'm messing up, but I'm getting it together. Okay. So I think that you want to lead. You want to lead this process. You want to lead this process with, you wanted last night to lead that process with our daughter. You wanted to, teach her a lesson, and you felt that it was valuable and you felt that it was important. I felt it was valuable and important too. I didn't like the way that you were trying to teach the lesson. And you wanted me to just fall back and trust you. And so when I am focused on the fact that you're not pulling me in to be a part of the decision making process about how we teach the lesson and how's it going to go down or whatever, I guess on some level, it doesn't show you that I trust you, even if I don't necessarily get it or understand. And I want you to know that I do trust you. I trust you with everything that I have. I trust you with our children. I trust you. I know that you said at different times, especially with the kids, that I got a whole lot of opinions, right? And I'm sharing that all the time with you. And maybe I don't always demonstrate my willingness to let you lead, especially with the kids. I probably don't. So I said maybe, and then I said I probably don't. I probably don't. And I can do a better job of that. And so I think that some of, probably your resistance and you're like not feeling me on this is your feeling like, just like trust that I got this, what I'm saying, and take a different position. Everything that I'm saying, I think that you really do understand because we teach it. So I think you get it. Like, yeah, like it's a process or whatever, but you ain't feeling that right now because you want me to feel you. You want me to trust you. So I do trust you. And I just want you to know that. That's me trying to get off my position and get in yours. How'd I do, y'all? Did I do something? Was it all right? No, I don't really care what y'all think for real. I love y'all, but
Yeah.
What do you think? Did I hit it or was it right?
Yeah, you hit it. You hit it right. You hit the nail right on the head. I did, and I do, want you to trust me. And you do, and so, just by you acknowledging and verbalizing, how you can do a better job, that means a lot to me. It means a whole lot to me, and I'm thankful that you're able to see that, and I'm hoping that you can commit to working on that as we live forever and ever and ever. And so for you, baby, I know that I have a challenge when it comes to trying to reconcile my desire to be supported by you, and then with my the knowledge that I have of the need for me to yield and include you in the process. And so it feels like sometimes a conundrum. It feels like this dichotomy that exists inside of me, because again, I'm dealing with two dualities where I'm trying to assume a particular position and play a particular role. But at the same time, too, a very significant and integral part of me being me is you, and me accepting your influence because you are so valuable and so precious to me and in our process as parents. And so I apologize for negating you in that experience, in that process, and unilaterally making a decision, swinging my balls, and not considering you because we're phenomenal parents, and I couldn't raise these children alone. I need you, and and so for me to negate, for me to overlook, for me to sidestep, for me to not consider you, I mean, it's disrespectful and it's inconsiderate. And so I'm genuinely sorry for not bringing you in, especially as it pertains to disciplining, making a decision around our children. And I acknowledge that, it's my ego, my arrogance, my me being a man that gets in the way and interferes with my ability at times to fall back and accept your influence. And I'm gonna do a much better job at improving that.
Do you really believe this?
No, I do.
Okay. I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm just saying, like, you're just saying the right things because you know what to say because you're a therapist, so you really believe this?
No, I mean, I do believe it. Like, I mean, as we were discussing this, I was thinking, and I think that, I mean, you lifted up a couple of times, like, there's a process. And so, yes, we both acknowledge that we do make unilateral decisions all the time as it pertains to our children, but especially in the arena of discipline. And this right here was a discipline decision.
And it wasn't just a discipline decision. It was with a girl.
A discipline decision.
And it was around a girl type issue. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that's important.
It was around some attire, y'all. Some clothes. And so a discipline decision. And it's wrong of me not to include you. And I think that a part of me too, I mean, I felt good administering it. I mean, when I say administering, it wasn't nothing physical. It was, me just taking something away, putting some parameters in place. But I felt good saying, like, you can't do this. And again, that was ego.
Didn't I tell you that last night?
You did, but I wasn't trying to hear you. I'm sorry for shooting that down.
I know. I'm sorry, Fine 29. I mean, let me not mess up the moment. Let me keep it together.
Yeah.
I accept.
But you did kind of. So that's another lesson, y'all. You did kind of question. You questioning the sincerity of my acknowledgement of where I came short, and my apologies to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
But I mean, I do. I feel it. And so you must not believe me. You must not believe that.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
So you don't believe me?
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I hear you. I hear you.
So what do you hear?
Like, come on, let's keep teaching a lesson. Let's be done.
What did you hear?
Feel, Chris said you didn't feel nothing. Huh?
What did you hear?
I guess what's hard for me is how you just all of a sudden turn. All I said is, well, let's just show them how it's supposed to be done. So I know that we know how to show how it's supposed to be done because we teach this all the time. So I feel like I already knew where you was coming from, but I still wanted you to respect the process. You wasn't giving me nothing. Now all of a sudden you giving me all this stuff. I'm like, well, if you had this all the damn time, why the hell you ain't say this stuff before? You asked me. I wouldn't have said it if you didn't ask me.
Yeah, it's because of what you just said.
Come on, Danny. How you gonna say that, Danny? She's gonna say she tipsy.
It's because of what you said. It's because of what you just gave me. It's because of what you acknowledged and how you were vulnerable. Oh,
okay. Okay. I feel you.
And so it allowed me to put my guard down. And so I stepped from being in a defensive posture to, being open hands and willing to accept, receive, and accept the influence.
That's y'all's lesson tonight. This was a real life role play, Cheryl. A real life role play. Tonight we talked about why it's so important for men to accept influence from their wives. And why do we focus on men? Because the research shows that women already kind of do it. Women already do it a little bit more than men. In fact, a lot more than men. And we talked a little more about that at the beginning. Y'all been dropping some real good comments tonight. Some real, Bruce, you're right. I already know he processes before he responds. He does not react. Let me tell you, every brother out there, I'm telling you, that's one thing you can learn if you don't already have it. For real. So look, Chris, you said you coming on my show. Chris, you know I got a radio show. For those who don't know, I have a radio show on WPFW 89.3 FM. You said I'm coming on your show. You come on that show, Chris. Hit me up on Facebook. And somebody told me something. You can't wait till I see myself. Oh Lord, Raquel, what you trying to say? Y'all have been really, really, really good because we did not know that tonight. We were going to be getting all, I mean, I brought up our little thing, but I didn't know that we were going to be getting all up into our particular situation. But, you know, sometimes that's needed. And I just hope that everybody knows that at the end of the day, this is real life. Relationships are not perfect. You do need to have a framework in which you operate. You do need to have a process to which you subscribe. If you're doing everything willy-nilly, you know, then you're going to get back willy-nilly. But you do have to make room for each other to be human. And you do have to always, always be compassionate and give each other grace. Because what you saw demonstrated here this evening and what we have continued to demonstrate with each other, even from yesterday, back in the day, if we had the little thing that we had last night, we want to talk to each other. We wouldn't even be doing this live stream right now because we couldn't sit next to each other to talk to each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To be able to do that. But we know how to kind of have a disagreement or have some discord and still be able to connect in what's going on. Are you okay? How you feeling? Love you. All right. But we're still irritated and agitated with one another. And so you have to have a process. You have to have a way to be able to come back together and process through the things that need to be processed through so that connection can be maintained at all times. Because when this is over, I'm about to snuggle up next to my boo. My so fine. Y'all, hold up. Did anybody here? Hope I'm not. Because, you know,
yeah, bro, go ahead, bro.
Don't talk about you?
No.
Please, just say yes.
No.
Just a little bit.
No.
Just for 1 second.
Hold back. Nah.
He's so cute, though. That's all I'm going to say. He's so cute. Okay, so anyway, smile. He's so cute. So anyway, my baby always, always, always is invested in this process of being in relationship with me. And I'm always invested in the process of being in relationship with him. It doesn't mean that you get it perfect. It means that you are always striving to make progress. It's not about perfection. It's progress. Somebody said, you actually like it. Give it to him.
You can give me something else. You can give me something else.
Oh, all right. And signing out here from the DMV. We are gone. Let me shout out my sister, Tanisha Wormley. Tanisha, drop your link. Tanisha and her husband, Quentin, they are friends of ours, and she's on this live stream listening tonight. And her son, she has such a testimony to give because her son, has been fighting a battle. He's been in the hospital for some time, and he's a baby. He's a cutie pie, and they have been developing their skills in terms of being a mommy and a daddy and being in a relationship with one another, Tanisha and her husband, while they continue to support this young life and becoming all that he's supposed to. So they do have some more information about their process and about their son and about what they've been going through. So go ahead and drop that link, Tanisha, so that people can learn more about you. That's Tanisha and Quentin Wormley. Thank you so much for lifting us up. We really appreciate you all. I say ain't nobody gonna be listening to us. It's 10 o'clock at night. We coming on here and we done lasted a whole hour. We supposed to be on for 20 minutes. And here we are a whole hour later. But you know what? Come back next week on next Thursday. Let's do this again. If you have some suggestions, some thoughts, or ideas about what we can focus on, please do let us know. Please share the video, and we promise not to break the bed. All right, y'all. Peace.
All right, peace, y'all.